સંપાદિવ એબે આત્મા સમર્પણે ચિંતા નાહી
એબે આત્મા સમર્પણે ચિંતા નાહી
એબે આત્મા સમર્પણે ચિંતા નાહી તુમિને વાયવે પ્રભુ સંસાર તુમાર તુમિ નિવાયવે પ્રભુ સંસાર તુમાર તો પાલિવે મોર નિજ દાસ જાની
તો પાલિવે મોરે નિજ દાસ જાની
તમે તો પાલિવે મોરે નિજ દાસ જાની
તો પાલિવે મોરે નિજ દાસ જાની
તો મારા સેવાયા પ્રભુ બોડો સુખ માની
મારા સેવાય પ્રભુ બોડો સુખ મણી
તો મારા સેવાયા પ્રભુ બોડો સુખ માની
મારા સેવાય પ્રભુ બોડો સુખ માની
તો મારા ઈચ્છયા પ્રભુ સબ કાર્ય હોય
તો મારા ઈચ્છયા પ્રભુ સબ કાર્ય
તો મારા છયા પ્રભુ સબ કાર્ય હોય জীব বলে করি আমি সে তো সত্য নয় সে তো সত্য নয়।
জীবা বলে করি আমি, সে তো সত্য
জীবা কি করিতে পারে তুমি না করিলে?
জীবা তো করিতে পারে তুমি না করিলে।
জীবা কি করিতে পারে তুমি না করিলে?
জীবা কি করিতে পারে তুমি না করিলে।
আশা মাত্র জীবা করে তব ইচ্ছা ফলে।
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 নিশ্চিন্ত হইয়া আমি সেবিব তোমায়।
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 গৃহে ভালো মন্দ হয় লেনাই মোর দায়।
গৃহে ভালো মন্দ হলে
নাহি মোর দায়। গৃহে ভালো মন্দ হলে নাহি মোর দায়।
গৃহে ভালো মন্দ হলে নাহি মোর দায়।
ভক্তি বিনোদ নিজ স্বাতন্ত্র্য নিজিয়া। ভক্তি বিনোদ
নিজ স্বাতন্ত্র্য ত্যাগিয়া।
ভক্তি বিনোদ নিজ স্বাতন্ত্র্য ত্যাজিয়া।
ভক্তি বিনোদ নিজ স্বাতন্ত্র্য ত্যাগিয়া।
তোমার চরণ সেবি অকিঞ্চন হোয়া।
তোমার চরণ সেবে অকিঞ্চন হইয়া।
তোমার চরণ সেবি अकिंचन होया। भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस प्रयोजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद ऐसी भक्ति विनोद स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस प्रयोजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद ऐसी भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर श्री प्रभुपाद की आनंद कोटि वैष्णव की नामचर्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की मथुरा धाम की गंगा माई की यमुना माई की तुलसी देवी की भक्ति देवी की समवेत भक्तवृंद की all glories to Hare Krishna, all glories to Hare Krishna, all glories to Hare Krishna, all glories to Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Krishna Prasthapati Srimati Bhakti Vikas Swami. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Reading from chapter 13, canto 3, text number 49. Tasmin prasanne sakala-āśiṣām prabhau kim durlabhaṁ tābhir alaṁ lava-ātmabhiḥ ananya-dṛṣṭyā bhajatāṁ guhā-āśayaḥ svayam vidhatte sva-gatiṁ parām tasmin prasanne sakala-āśiṣām prabhau King durlabhaṁ tābhir alaṁ lavātmabhiḥ ananya-dṛṣṭyā bhajatāṁ guhā-āśayaḥ svayam vidhatte sva-gatiṁ parām tasmin prasanne sakala-āśiṣām prabhau King durlabhaṁ tābhir alaṁ lavātmabhiḥ ananya-dṛṣṭyā bhajatāṁ guhā-āśayaḥ svayam vidhatte sva-gatiṁ parām tasmin prasanne sakala-āśiṣām prabhau King durlabhaṁ tābhir alaṁ lavātmabhiḥ ananya-dṛṣṭyā bhajatāṁ guhā-āśayaḥ svayam vidhatte sva-gatiṁ parām
tasmin prasanne sakala-āśiṣām prabhau durlabhaṁ tābhir alaṁ lavātmabhiḥ ananya-dṛṣṭyā bhajatāṁ guhā-āśayaḥ svayam vidhatte sva-gatiṁ parām tasmin prasanne sakala-āśiṣām prabhau King durlabhaṁ tābhir alaṁ lavātmabhiḥ ananya-dṛṣṭyā bhajatāṁ guhā-āśayaḥ svayam vidhatte sva-gatiṁ parām
Tasmin prasanne sakala-āśiṣām prabhau.
Tasmin prasanne sakala-āśiṣām prabhau.
Durlabhaṁ tābhir alaṁ lavātmabhiḥ.
Durlabhaṁ tābhir alaṁ lavātmabhiḥ.
Ananya-dṛṣṭyā bhajatāṁ guhā-āśayaḥ.
ananya-dṛṣṭyā bhajatāṁ guhā-āśayaḥ.
svayam vidhatte sva-gatiṁ parām.
vidhatte sva-gatim parām.
Tasmin prasanne sakala-āśiṣām prabhu.
Tasmin prasanne sakala-āśiṣām prabhu.
Durlabhaṁ tābhir alaṁ lavātmabhiḥ.
Durlabhaṁ tābhir alaṁ lavātmabhiḥ.
ananya-dṛṣṭyā bhajatāṁ guhā-āśayaḥ.
ananya-dṛṣṭyā bhajatāṁ guhā-āśayaḥ.
svayam vidhatte sva-gatiṁ parām.
svayam vidhatte sva-gatim parām. Tasmin prasanne sakala-āśiṣām prabhau.
Tasmin prasanne sakala-āśiṣām prabhau.
durlabhaṁ tābhir alaṁ lavātmabhiḥ.
Durlabhaṁ tābhir alaṁ lavātmabhiḥ.
ananya-dṛṣṭyā bhajatāṁ guhā-āśayaḥ.
Ananya-dṛṣṭyā bhajatāṁ guhā-āśayaḥ.
svayam vidhatte sva-gatim parām.
svayam vidhatte sva-gatiṁ parām.
Mataji.
Tasmin prasanne sakala-āśiṣām prabhau. Durlabhaṁ tābhir alaṁ lavātmabhiḥ. Ananya-dṛṣṭyā bhajatāṁ guhā-āśayaḥ. svayam vidhatte sva-gatiṁ parām.
Okay. Tasmin, unto him, prasanne, being pleased, sakala-āśiṣām, of all benedictions, prabhau, unto the Lord, kim, what is that? Durlabhaṁ, very difficult to obtain. Tābhir, with them, alaṁ, away, lava-ātmabhiḥ, with insignificant gains, ananya-dṛṣṭyā, by nothing but devotional service, bhajatāṁ, of those who are engaged in devotional service, guhā-āśayaḥ, residing within the heart, svayam, personally, vidhatte, executes, sva-gatiṁ, in his own abode, paraḥ, the supreme, parām, transcendental. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nothing remains unachieved when the Supreme Personality Godhead is pleased with someone. By transcendental achievement, one understands everything else to be insignificant. One who engages in transcendental loving service is elevated to the highest perfection stage by the Lord Himself, who is seated in everyone's heart. Purport. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 10.10, the Lord gives intelligence to the pure devotees so that they may be elevated to the highest perfection stage. It is confirmed herein that a pure devotee who constantly engages in the loving service of the Lord is awarded all knowledge necessary to reach the Supreme Personality Godhead. For such a devotee, there is nothing valuable to be achieved but the Lord's service. If one serves faithfully, there is no possibility of frustration because the Lord Himself takes charge of the devotee's advancement. The Lord is seated in everyone's heart, and He knows the devotee's motive and arranges everything achievable. In other words, the pseudo-devotee who is anxious to achieve material gains cannot attain the highest perfection stage because the Lord is in knowledge of his motive. One merely has to become sincere in his purpose, and then the Lord is there to help in every way. Om jnana timirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurumritam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutali Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tapata Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhutam Savaditam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinavanda Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kantanastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavane Shri Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo vicha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namani. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharni Nirvisesa Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jnananandamayam Devam Nirmas Pratikākriti Madharam Sarva Vidyanam Hayagrivam Upasmahi Guru Vaishnava Bhagavanti Nirasmaranohi Vigna Vinachananaya Shahi Nija Vanchita Puran. Okay, so here we get to this end of the chapter here, the appearance of Lord Varaha in relationship with Lord Brahma, and here Varaha appearing and saving the earth. So we see here that this ecstatic verse comes in the end here, assuring us of the infallible position that we can come to by taking up the practice of pure devotional service, or the desire to come to the platform of pure devotional service. As we understand that pure devotee doesn't specifically mean one is completely purified yet, but also those who are in the process of purification, who have the desire to become pure devotees. Not the desire to stay at a specific one particular level, but those who want to become purified, who are praying to become purified, those who are actively working to change their attitudes and possibly natures and positions in devotional service in order to facilitate pure devotional service. They're also mentioned as pure devotees, as an unripe mango on a tree eventually becomes a ripe mango, as long as it's connected to the tree. So those who are aspiring for pure devotional service, the verse here assures us, and again throughout the whole Bhagavatam, we are given guarantees, 100% guarantees of perfection, that there is no less than that. I don't think Shukadeva Goswami is preaching to Parikshit Maharaj, yeah, you might get there, O Parikshit. Or even in Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he's not telling Arjuna, yeah, you might get there if you try. Saying, no, I guarantee it 100%. There's no loss or diminution on this path. Oh Arjuna. So here we see more of that we're getting assurance, complete assurance. The infallible position that a living entity can attain by taking up the practice of pure devotional service. So everybody wants this. Everybody wants some infallible position. Everybody wants some security, something. Anytime we do something in our life, we want some security, and that's generally the biggest problem our parents have with us taking up the platform of pure devotional service, because to the external world, it looks like you have no security at all. Neither do you have money, neither do you have friends that have money. Neither do you have a wife or children to take care of you, neither do you have a home. Sounds like a homeless person. So to the external material world, what they see, or what we may have also seen before, is that actually devotional service looks like there's no guarantee at all from the external point of view, those with mundane vision. But and so everybody is after this some idea of guarantee. Everybody wants a guarantee in life. That's why when you buy something, you want a guarantee that it's going to last at least 10 years. You buy a vehicle, they give you 50,000 miles, some sort of warranty or something, that if it breaks down, you can come and exchange it. During 50,000 miles, people don't drive like we do. So 50,000 miles, what? That's like 5-6 years. Yeah, 5-6 years on a vehicle, and people are like, okay, sure. And then 100,000 miles is some sort of warranty is there. Otherwise, if you went to buy a vehicle and said, well, 6 months, that's it. You're like, well, I don't want that. Because you want some sort of guarantee that you're going to get the most out of what you put in. You want that. You want to be successful in your endeavor. That you buy a car, you want that to be a success. So we want that the guarantee be that what I put in, I get out more. If I put something in this, I want more out of it. So whatever, even if you want to buy a car, you have to go for advice to so many people. What kind of car should I buy? You might have to look up so many videos. You might have to do so many things in order to just get your car. Even, if you're a mechanic, then you know so many things about a car, or take it to a mechanic when you want to buy that car, or go to a mechanic for advice, what car lasts the longest. Or if you want more of a life decision than just a car is, you want to get a job, you want to have a career, then you need to go to an institution or to a teacher. And so they give a level of guarantee, and according to the guarantee they give, the more work you have to put in. If you want to go to Georgia Tech, what do they have? 100% guaranteed jobs in business. 100%. They display that when you go by their school on, 75, 85? Yeah, when you go by there, you'll see a big billboard. Our graduates, 100% rate of jobs found. Undergrads, they graduate and they immediately get a job. Well, what does it take to get into Georgia Tech? Oh my God, it's competitive. And if those who have worked at school, they're pretty busy people, and what modern society would call the top of the class of the society. Or you could go to Georgia State. It's not really. Who was there recently? Somebody else was there recently. You were there. I think it was Abhimanyu saying that, though. He was saying that these people are completely hopeless in life. So you can go there, but it's a low bar, and what is your guarantee? Practically nothing. Unless you know someone and somehow you just got a degree and get through it. So we can see the value is there in going to Georgia Tech. We understand, okay, there's value, but you can't just want the value. You have to be willing to put in the work to get that value. You can't just turn up and say, well, I'm here, Georgia Tech, take me in. What do you have? My GPA is about 2, and I'm not willing to really work hard. I just want to come in and go through it. I want to go out drinking on the weekends. I want to work my job and be able to earn enough money to be able to buy whatever I want to buy. But it's not going to work. Even though the guarantee is there, you're still required to do your part. You have to do your part. If you expect them that the school will simply, even if you may do your part in the beginning to get in with all the prerequisites, even when you get there, you better do your part. You better turn up to the classes, you better work hard on the weekends, compete like anything against everyone else. You have to study day in, day out, and it becomes your life. It just becomes your life. Although it is guaranteed, you better make that 4 years of your life fully dedicated to that. You really have no other, your attention can't be directed anywhere else. Whatever, they will work some small job or something like that. But those who really want to be successful in that field or whatever, they really put it all in. No other desire in their heart, but to become successful in achieving their goals and making full use of that guarantee that institution provides to those who are, you could say, faithfully working and dedicated. They're faithfully working within the institution. They have faith in the teachers teaching right, so they're following the curriculum, and they're dedicated. They're fully dedicated to that practice of being disciplined and studying and doing all of these things. So even we see in material life that people are completely dedicated to something, and although we understand that so many guarantees may be there, you guarantee so many things, and then a few years later, all of that is completely, vanquished, or it's completely destroyed. Or another case is that people go in, and also cases where you're not successful. You go in and you just can't make it. You're in the process of the school, and it's too hard to make it. So then you become disappointed, dissatisfied. It's difficult, and the life becomes miserable. So life is like that in all cases also, that we want some guarantee. We want some guarantee. We want to be able to go somewhere, even within devotional service. If we are doing something, we want to guarantee that I will get that. Otherwise, we may become disappointed. Okay, yes, I'm going out distributing books. I want to guarantee that today I will distribute 100 bhakti stacks. Only then I will go out. I want to guarantee that my spot is going to be the best spot. Only then I will go to that spot. I want to guarantee that when I go out in Harinam, everybody will sing along with me. When I tell them to chant, they better chant. Otherwise, I don't want to sing. So we have that in devotional service also. And karmas are more, we don't see that so much grossly within our devotional society, but karmas are more blunt about that. If it's not going to give me money, I'm not going to do it. And it's like a job. Like you go in, you invest your time. You're not going to, if the boss says tomorrow, I'm not going to pay, you're not going to go in for that job. Somebody was doing some social experiment and was going around asking people, so if the boss stopped paying you tomorrow, would you go in? No, absolutely not. No person in their right mind would say yes. So when people don't get the outcomes they want, then they become disappointed, or they may not perform that activity anymore because they're not getting what they want out of it. So there's some fruitive idea that if this activity doesn't bear proper fruit, then my endeavor is useless. Then I will not perform my endeavor. I will not go on. I will abandon that activity altogether. And that's how people see devotional service as well from the external point of view. Why are you performing it? That's how the vision of the mundaners is, well, what are you getting out of it? My parents, every time, what are you getting out of it? Nothing. I don't get anything out. I don't, materially, nothing. What do you get? Happiness, satisfaction? I said, yeah, I get happiness and satisfaction. Is that not enough? Well, what about your security? Again, what is the guarantee of your security? What are you going to do? So people can't understand that generally everything is looked at as performing action, karma, and then reaping the fruits of that action and enjoying those fruits. And when we can't enjoy those fruits, we are hankering and lamenting. Actually, the inherent desire to try to enjoy those fruits is in itself perpetuating suffering for the living entity in this world because of birth, death, old age, and disease. There's this nice lecture that I was listening to. It's called, what is it here? Better to suffer than protest. It's a really good lecture. It's a very, 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 very amazing lecture, speaking about how the living entity is the cause of his own suffering. There's no other suffering than that. And in the questions and answers, there's a conversation between Guru Maharaj and Suvarnabindu Prabhu saying that, well, in the purport, in the translation it says that, but in purport Prabhupada says material. It's actually material nature that causes pain to the living entity. And Guru Maharaj saying there's different perspectives of this actually. There's different ways of looking at how the living entity experiences pain. But ultimately that is also there, that we perpetuate our own suffering. So we're trying to enjoy, and if something can't be enjoyed, the idea of success is that enjoying. Success means enjoyable to my senses, to me. So one achieves their level of perfection, you could say. And in material life, that guarantee, of course, although they guarantee so many things, actually at the end of it, you'll see that most people, whatever their guarantee is, that guarantee may be there over the job, but the satisfaction that comes with it is not there. Or that job may not even come also, even if the 100% guarantee is there. But we see here, within devotional service, that none of it is actually at all dependent upon a material situation. That the devotee of the Lord, qualification given, of course, the pure devotee, he is personally guided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his endeavors. And that he is never lost. Nothing remains unachieved when the Personality of Godhead is pleased with someone. By transcendental achievement, one understands everything else to be insignificant. One who engages in transcendental loving service is elevated to the highest perfection stage by the Lord himself, who is seated in everyone's heart. So, Prabhupada says here that it is confirmed herein that a pure devotee who constantly engages in the loving service of the Lord is awarded all knowledge necessary to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For such a devotee, there is nothing valuable to be achieved but the Lord's service. Very important. That sometimes we think in our own endeavors in devotional service, I'm trying very hard. Why isn't this being granted to me? I'm trying very hard. That we want to sometimes get a number of book scores. We want to cook something very nicely in certain ways. Also, we want to decorate very nicely. And sometimes we may not have the material qualifications for those things. And we may think that the Lord is not awarding me such things. But we may also not see that actually that award may not be so conducive for our devotional service. That is specifically being mentioned here, that there is nothing more valuable to be achieved. There's nothing valuable to be achieved but the Lord's service. That the pure devotee of the Lord, he becomes completely satisfied by just performing the service of the Lord. He has no other desire. He has a desire. His desire is to completely, utterly, fully submit himself to that service. Nothing more. He doesn't give a little less, a little more according to the circumstances, according to how he's feeling, and every single time, what does he do? He gives 100%. That is full surrender. When he performs his service, his consciousness is fully there. In this lecture that Kalki Prabhu tell me, what is that intelligence? Applied intelligence. Applied intelligence, Guru Maharaj's, Bhakti Vikas Maharaj is mentioning in that lecture that one has to, when one does devotional service, he has to be it's a detailed thing. That even a small thing, he was mentioning that there was some paper left in a sink, like a small piece of paper. And in the lecture, it seems like he's making a big deal about it. And literally, it's half of the lecture, and it's an hour lecture, and it's like almost half of the lecture where he's talking about a small piece of paper inside of a sink, and how the disciple, decided to leave that there. And it does seem completely insignificant. But he was mentioning the point that it's such a small thing, that devotee, it wouldn't have taken him much longer to do that service. He could have just taken it out, put it in the trash. That would have been it. But because the focus is not there fully, because the awareness, the consciousness is not there fully, it becomes difficult. And Srila Prabhupada says something really amazing in the Srimad Bhagavatam. He says that under passion and ignorance, we can't understand the Lord. By cultivating the mode of goodness, one can understand the position of the Lord, how the Lord is always ready to remove all obstacles on the path of understanding Him. So when one's position is in passion and ignorance, then it becomes very difficult for us to understand how the Lord is working in our life and how to actually see Krishna's hand in our life. Therefore, the Bhagavatam pushes us to come to the platform of mode of goodness. Rajastama, what is it? That's in the mark in the Bhagavad Dharma, but what's the verse that comes in Rajas? Tada rajastamo bhava kama lobhadasya cheter eter anaviddam sitam sattve prasidati. That we were meant to come up to the platform of sattva, obviously Shuddha sattva, but at least before all of that, we should come to a platform of goodness. And Prabhupada specifically says here, by culturing the mode of goodness, one can understand the position of the Lord and how the Lord is always ready to remove all obstacles in his life. We have so many obstacles, and the obstacle, because if we read this here, it says that he sees nothing more valuable to be achieved but the Lord's service. The real obstacle in our life is not achieving this or this number of books or that number of whatever we may want to do in our lives, but it's actually the obstacles are the lust, greed, anger, all of these things that are there in the heart. Those are the real obstacles. So what is the Lord removing? He's not removing obstacles so we can go in the kitchen and become the best cook in the world. That I can cook the best preps, and we want to do so many different types of preps and this and that, or we want to go out and distribute so many number of books. Those are obviously all amazing. But the real thing means that to remove all of those things within our heart. Without removing those things in our heart, then even if that service is performed just on the platform of, seeing through all of those material desires, they're purifying without a doubt, but not to the complete extent that we would like Krishna Prema. And they go on purifying us, and we should go on performing those. But the real removing of obstacles of the Lord is to remove those things from our heart, to cleanse us, cheto darpana marjanam. That is the real obstacle moving. Our numbers and our achievements, external achievements, you could say, all the devotional services, of course, it's pure, but they don't particularly define who a devotee is. Like Srila Prabhupada didn't become a pure devotee because he came to America, just because he made thousands of disciples. That's not what defines him. He was a pure devotee, but Krishna gave him, because he's acting as an instrument, Krishna gave him all of this to glorify him, because that's how the Lord works. He likes to glorify those and give those glories all over the world for those who are pure devotees of the Lord. He has now this, but it doesn't mean that Srila Prabhupada wasn't a pure devotee just because he was failing on the streets of Delhi practically to the eyes of everyone else. So the real obstacles in devotional service are there in our hearts, and they are removed by performing devotional service. That is the only process. And what kind of devotional service? Well, any kind of devotional service, not one specific type. Some are more conducive to us than others, there's no doubt about that. And some others, even though we are good at it, might not be conducive to our devotional service. It's a funny way of it's a different way of looking at something. We may be really good at something, but it may just give us the wrong attitude in life. So then that has to be renounced also. And doesn't mean you renounce not devotional service, but that activity may not be the time for you to engage in that right now. According to the direction of the Guru, that of course also, main thing is that. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead rewards us all knowledge necessary to reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's amazing. It's amazing that the Supreme Lord, as Srila Prabhupada often writes, that He wants us more than we do. And so He is the one that removes all the obstacles to reach Him. It's not that the business company comes down from their top seat and says, okay, here you go, child, here's all of the curriculum, and I'll draw out the courses for me to reach that. No, it's not like that in material life. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He personally guides the devotee in his journey of pure devotional service. And so the devotee who understands or who has such knowledge, he comes to the point of recognizing that actually nothing more is valuable than to perform service to the Lord. He doesn't value anything else at all. Therefore, he's willing to undergo all austerities. Therefore, in karma you see, sometimes devotees live very simply. Sometimes devotees externally seemingly suffering or undergoing some difficulty or doing so many things that seem very sometimes unnecessary or difficult, as like I was saying, our parents see, our brothers or loved ones may see. But the individual, he sees that although all these external things are there in his life, actually they're very insignificant. And in this other lecture that I was listening to Guru Maharaj's, this is the lecture that better to suffer than protest. He was saying that who's actually suffering? In that conversation with Suvarnabindu Prabhu was saying, who's suffering? Actually, you're not suffering. He was saying that actually, why are you suffering? Because of your misidentification, that's all. Because he asked a question, who suffers in a dream? And I was like, that's a really profound question. Actually, if you think about it, who suffers in the dream? Because nothing's happening to you. We were saying, I think a lot of us are having like terrifying dreams lately. I don't know what's happening. So we were saying that, it's like, it's crazy. It's like, I was really scared. But what was happening? Nothing. But because of the identification with that dream, we were suffering. So the devotee of the Lord, when he stops identifying with his body, mind, this material body and mind, and the situations of this world, That suffering, although to everyone else looks like suffering, to him, it means. So it's insignificant. Why? Because he doesn't identify with it. He doesn't see it as significant in his life. So what? Others say, oh, you need to do this. You know, the best example I can think of is Bhakti Vikas Maharaj. It's like, you know, it's some of the things he has to go through, you know, and exhibit the pastime of going through. It's like, whoa. But you see him, you watch him. It's like, yeah, anyways, it's what it is. Like, yeah, this has been my whole life, it's just been like that, whatever. How can someone go on? People become extremely disturbed. You see material life, something happens. Whoa, people have traumas. People have some pain. They take so many painkillers just to get by their day. But a devotee is able to just, or Vidhatte Prabhu was telling me about a devotee in Salem, a brahmachari. I forget his name. What was Prabhu's name? Sva-gatiṁ Prabhu. Just has like this terrible pancreas disease that the doctors can't figure out. Nothing can be done about it. We've been to so many doctors, and he practically faints when he's like walking. He works construction there. What does he do? He works on the construction in Salem, but he's remaining a brahmachari his whole life. It's like, well, why don't you just, he just got married, he's probably going to take your wife is going to take care of you, everything is fine. But no, he's dedicated. He sees, yeah, that suffering is there, but this point, there's nothing more valuable than that. To lose that means to lose my life. To lose that intense, tivrena bhakti yogena, to that devotee who becomes completely attached to the Lord, to lose that is just to lose his life. There's no point of living anymore. What is the point of my life? There's no point of life if there's no service for the pure devotees of the Lord. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I will not go to that place where I cannot serve my Lord. I will not consider that place, even in my mind. Where I cannot serve the Lord. So for a devotee, there's nothing more valuable. There's nothing more valuable than service to Krishna. It doesn't matter what service it is for him also. That's another characteristic of a pure devotee. Doesn't mind. Whatever. As long as I'm situated at the lotus feet of the Lord, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Nothing else. Nothing else. For the materialists, they want so many specific type of things they want to do, even though they're forced to do so many stupid things in life, like work at Walmart and work terrible jobs, stand around all day, waste their time. But the devotee doesn't care. He will clean the bathroom if he needs to. He'll go out on book distribution if he needs to. He'll cook if he needs to. He's completely satisfied in all circumstances. Because he sees the value in service. And he sees himself as a servant of the Lord and nothing more. As we were singing in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's songs. Now that he has come to this position. And that he gives up his independence and engages in exclusive service of your lotus feet with no other interest in life. So such a devotee, as Prabhupada says here, that if one serves faithfully, there's no possibility of frustration because the Lord himself takes charge of the devotee's advancement. One who stops having an alternative desire in his heart other than to serve the Lord, he doesn't have to worry about his advancement in devotional service. It's not something to be gained, as the Chaitanya Charitamrita said. It's not something to be gained. Devotional service is not something you can, I'm going to go and do it. I'm going to become advanced. It doesn't work like that. I'm sorry. I'm going to do so many things and so Krishna that, I'm very dedicated. Yeah, that is there and we should do that. But the purification, the heart has to become purified, and it has to be softened in order to allow the bhakti lata bija to grow properly. So there is no forcing pure devotional service. We can't force Krishna to make us advanced. But we can, by our sincerity and by faithfully serving Krishna in devotional service, naturally it happens. He's saying that it is not something to be gained, it is already there in the living entity. And it is something simply to be uncovered. So the Lord knows everything. The Lord knows everything. Sarvesya chaham hridishini vishto matirsmitir jnanam apohanam cha. The Lord is situated within the hearts of all the living entities. And He knows our motives. He knows that what are we trying to do? How are we trying to serve the Lord? Do we have another desire while we're performing our services to be known, to be glorified? And the Lord, it says, He understands the devotee's motive and arranges everything achievable. In other words, the pseudo-devotee who is anxious to achieve material gains cannot attain the highest perfection stage because the Lord is in knowledge of his motive. One merely has to become sincere in his purpose, and then the Lord is there to help in every way. It's profound. The one who is anxious to achieve material gains cannot attain the highest perfection stage. But if one becomes sincere and serves the Lord, he'll get it anyways. As we see our acharyas pray, bhukti, mukti, all of these, they're waiting to serve the pure devotee of the Lord. So by removing all of one's personal desires, actually all those become fulfilled, but for the devotee, those desires that got fulfilled become insignificant. Oh okay, whatever. Yeah, I wanted that in the past, it's a useless thing. Forget it. He doesn't become attached to it. But the Lord will fulfill it just to show him, and just to see, okay, my devotee is not attached to such thing. To glorify him also. So one has to simply, Srila Prabhupada many times, as that's a whole section in the mood and mission, sincere and serious. Sincerity. Be sincere and serious. So many times Prabhupada said this in his classes, and there's also there in his books. Be sincere and serious in devotional service. So if one becomes sincere in his purpose, then the Lord is there to help in every way. So sincere in our purpose, just the desire. Please, I have so many other desires in my heart, but please purify those. Purify those. Please bring me to the platform of pure devotional service. Please remove this from my heart. Because there's no other obstacle than that in life. Because even if one fails everything else, if he's throughout his whole life, he's just sincere and serious in his practice, but he didn't achieve anything externally. But that is the ultimate achievement, just to go on serving the Lord. So we see that one doesn't have to be fearful, one doesn't have to be afraid, that the pure devotional service is a natural process by which we can expect the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead if we are going on working. As Kulashekara Alvar, he prays, O Supreme Lord, O Vishnu, you are the most compassionate, so please show me your favor and bestow your mercy upon this helpless soul. O unlimited Lord, kindly uplifted wretch who is drowning in the ocean of material existence, O Lord Hari, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here, in the purport, it says, a complacent religionist may think a devotee need not call out for personal attention. Lord Krishna knows everything, so there is no need for individual supplication. But according to acharyas, when a soul feels himself helpless and unfortunate, calls out to the Lord, he touches the Lord's heart. Srila Prabhupada once gave an example of while walking with his devotees in a park. A group of ducks in a pond swam forward towards the devotees, and the duck who quacked the loudest was given some food. Prabhupada remarked that in a similar way, we have to cry out for Krishna as a child cries for its mother. Of course, this shouldn't be done in an egoistic or artificial way, but the Lord responds to his devotees' sincere and helpless cry. A devotee does not wish to bother the Lord with any demands or petitions, yet calling for mercy does not contradict the selfless mood of service. A good example is Gajendra, who asked the Lord to release him from the jaws of a crocodile. Srila Prabhupada writes, unalloyed devotees have nothing to ask from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Gajendra, the king of elephants, was circumstantially asking for an immediate benediction because he had no other way to be rescued. Sometimes when there is no alternative, a pure devotee, being fully dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Lord, prays for some benediction. But in such a prayer, there is also regret. Queen Kunti made a similar request in her prayers. Atha vishesha vishvatman vishvamurte sakeshu me Sneha pashan imam chindhi dridham pandushu vrishnishu. O Lord of the universe, soul of the universe, O personality of form of the universe, please therefore sever my tie of affection for my kingsmen, the Pandavas and the Vrishnis. In these instances, the pure devotees ask not for material benedictions, but for the Lord to intervene and arrange things so that they may more fully surrender to Him. About Kunti's petition, Srila Prabhupada writes, a pure devotee of the Lord is ashamed to ask anything in self-interest for the Lord, but the householders are sometimes obliged to ask for favors from the Lord, being bound by the ties of family affection. Srimati Kunti Devi was conscious of this fact, and therefore she prayed to the Lord to cut off her affection ties for her own kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vrishnis. Also, there are many moving songs by Vaishnavas of the recent age in which they call out to the Lord for individual help on the path of devotional service. For example, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings in Gopinath, O Gopinath, this sinner who is weeping and weeping, begs for an eternal place at your divine feet. Please give him your mercy. O Gopinath, you are able to do anything, and therefore you have the power to deliver all sinners. Who is there that is more of a sinner than myself? Deeply considering his disqualification and asking for special help, the devotee requests his Savior to be compassionate. The devotee's recognition of his complete dependence on the Supreme Lord is a prerequisite for his purification. He knows that if the Lord Hari does not respond, he has no one else to turn to. King Kulashekara teaches us how to turn to Lord Krishna at all times, whether in meditation while absorbed in his attractive name, form and pastimes, or in desperation while sinking in the ocean of material life. So we have to pray to the Lord. And Srila Prabhupada makes it seem so simple in a lot of places. Prabhupada just writes, one can become purified by simply chanting the holy name and become free from all bondage. So calling out and crying out for Krishna means to chant the holy name of the Lord constantly, to chant with feeling, to chant with prayer, to be absorbed in the holy name when we're chanting, to pray for service to the devotees of the Lord, as we read in so many places in the 11th canto also, that my devotees, better than service to me is the service to my devotees. And actually, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says the same thing. He says that I consider the service to the devotees much greater than the service to the personality of Godhead. So to be sincere means to pray to the Lord for purification, to pray, to chant Hare Krishna intensely. And that requires humility, that requires tolerance. So devotional service is there, it's a guarantee. It is the topmost guarantee. Nothing else can save you in this material world. Not your job, not your house, not your family. No one can help you. Even at the time of death, nobody around us also. We're there. That is our final test. What is it? Antasmaram kalam. What is it? Antakali. What is it? That at the time of death, one should think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But that requires us to practice now, that let not our mind become, our attention become way, in so many other things. Let it just be focused on the holy name of the Lord. It requires humility, requires proper mood and attitude. So to become sincere starts by, all begins with the chanting and takes us all the way up and more. So one has to become sincere in his purpose, and Krishna will help us in so many ways, so many different ways, by giving us different devotees of the Lord, by spiritual master. So this is a guarantee that nothing remains unachieved. We will get everything we ever wanted, the love of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if there's any questions or comments, please feel free to ask.
Hare Krishna. Is it on?
Yeah.
All right, I won't touch this. Let me see here. One comment is that in Srila Prabhupada's books, there's kind of like that theme pretty often, which is covered in this purport, which is making the point that by engaging in devotional service, Krishna gives intelligence about how we can come to him, and that by serving Krishna, we don't lose anything. We get the highest gain. And then before the class, we chanted that bhajan. I forget the exact, was it Nija, Putra, Dara, something?
Is it Dara Putra Nijo Deho?
Yeah, where, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is describing his situation, or like the pastime of like him, giving priority to other things except to Krishna, but then kind of like backing away and realizing that Krishna's in control. But anyways, I just thinking that like, at least like in Krishna consciousness, going through like that long term, there's definitely like a lot of like challenges and things that come up in the way. And like, at least like in my own life, just dealing with different situations, whenever I would like read things like that, it would like be very like comforting, because life can be like extremely complicated, and so can like situations, and they can be kind of like all consuming. And there sometimes in life there really isn't just like a yes or no or left or right type like situation. It can just be just like really complex.
Yeah.
Just like situations we may be in, or just people we have to deal with, and there's just no easy way out. But when like you read like what Prabhupada says here, that we just engage in Krishna consciousness. Krishna will give the intelligence, how we can stay like fixed on the path and come to him. And then going through those situations and like keep on serving no matter what it is, health thing, trouble on book distribution, trouble with devotees, whatever, like maybe like some miscommunication with authority. But like if you stick through it, and then you see that like, Krishna actually does come through and things like do work out. And then you're able, like within those situations, to actually see like Krishna's mercy, and then how that helps us in Krishna consciousness. So anyways, I'm just sharing that because it's like when I read those passages and things, I just I find it encouraging, like really helpful.
Yeah, just important point. I just forgot to mention, or maybe I kind of was that I was mentioning that even when you go to university, you're guaranteed and you have to put in work. And so in devotion service, we have to put in work. We're guided by Krishna, but we have to put in our own work, a lot of it. It requires a lot of tolerance. And to your point, the life circumstances, everybody has different life circumstances. And so those devotees who have been in devotion service for like 20, 30, 40 years and are still serious, you have no idea what they've been through in their life. And it's very difficult to understand, because how much strength it takes to be serious in Krishna consciousness for so long. They really have to have a taste for what they're doing. So they're advanced devotees. And sometimes we don't think much of it. Sometimes when we see those serious devotees, oh yeah, okay. Because we've been practicing for a short amount of time, and in the beginning it's all nice and we're dancing up and down, but then life situation hits, then a lot of us can't handle it, and then devotees compromise on devotional service in order to facilitate their material life. But those who didn't compromise to facilitate their material life, but took the difficulty to facilitate the devotional service, we have no idea how glorious they are. Because until you've been through it, it's inconceivable. Because it's easy route to just go, okay, all right, I will put the, I'll do devotion service a little later, let me take care of my material life. So, sometimes it's really difficult. And that's why it's important when you read Prabhupada's books, we're able to grasp the essence and the principles behind what Prabhupada is saying. Not that we become parrots. Srila Prabhupada didn't want that. We don't want to become just book parrots and book knowledge devotees. It's nice, but it's not the real thing. Guru Maharaj was mentioning that in one of those lectures. I think maybe it's the intelligence one. He was mentioning that it's not enough just to memorize verses, and you may know so many verses, but what's the use? You can't apply it. Like a doctor, I think it's in that, right? A doctor may be there and he's gone all the theory, but in practice he doesn't know anything. So practice means to be able to assimilate, to accumulate all of the knowledge that Srila Prabhupada is giving in his books, and to be able to actively carry them out in our lives. Otherwise, we won't actually achieve the result just by reading. We need to actually go through the process of devotional service and apply that process. It's a difficult thing to do. It's a difficult thing to do. There's so many circumstances you come up on. And it's good. Those difficult circumstances are good. They test us. And if we're sincere, we can get through them, keeping our devotional service intact. Pray to the Lord. Yeah, thank you. Is there anything else? Anyone else have anything among the men? No? Okay. You have something?
Yeah, do you have something for me?
Yeah, devotional service is clearly the way to overcome our anarthas. We want to get the higher taste. I guess it's said, like, you can chant for many, many lifetimes the holy name and not get any closer. And that is a form of devotional service. Is that because that person's not taking instruction from a spiritual master or something? They're chanting the holy name on their own mental platform? Is that kind of like what's going on? That person's not advancing?
Yeah, there's so many material desires within the heart. Inattentiveness is there. There may be offenses towards the holy name. So, or they don't have a desire for pure devotional service. This is fact. I was discussing in the last class. If some people just want to come to a point and that's it. I'm happy with my situation. Got my house. Got my kids. I do a little worship. Krishna's providing me these things, and that's all I want. That's all. Krishna. I just want a business exchange with Krishna. Okay? That's the level they want to be at. It's not very high. Still worship of Krishna. Sakama bhaktas and akama bhaktas. So yeah, some people just want to come to a platform and remain there. Nonetheless, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says even they're chanting offensive, they should continue chanting in order to achieve the pure, come to the platform of pure chanting. It says, Bahu janma kare yadi shravan kirtanam. So it may not achieve it for so many lives, but eventually they will. So it requires them to come to the proper realizations. It is a purifying process, but we want to do it in this life. We don't want to go to another life. Not really a desirable thing to go through so many birth, death, old age, disease. Just do it in this life. Tolerate whatever pain may come in this life, whatever suffering may come in this life, and just go on trying to come to the platform of pure devotional service. That's just a fact. You have to suffer. And so it's like some people, we don't want to suffer, but we have to suffer. Which way do you want to suffer? You want to suffer in devotional service, or you want to suffer outside of devotional service? The suffering within pure devotional service, or endeavoring for pure devotional service, is so much more blissful. There's no bliss in the suffering of material life. It's all pain. So we find that sometimes you see that, I've seen in my own life also, sometimes it seems externally like, damn, I'm really suffering, but then I'm actually really happy. So like sometimes the situations come like, damn, it's like really, if I was in material life right now, I would really hate my life. Certain circumstances you end up in, sometimes in devotional service, but then you realize, wow, I really like doing what I do. I still do it every day. It doesn't matter. It's like, why? Because, it's Krishna consciousness. That's what it is. So, yeah, we have to apply and think deeply about the philosophy and then apply it to our lives. We have to contemplate, and that contemplation upon the philosophy should turn into realization that's consciously acted out in our life. Otherwise, we won't have proper effect. You can read all of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're still purifying, but it won't have the effect that of coming to the platform of pure devotional service. It requires a lot of work, and it tests us like crazy. So it depends on how willing are you to go through the suffering that goes everything against what your mind tells you, what your body tells you, everything against your nature. You have to be determined. That's why tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. It requires a lot. You want to be a pure devotee, it requires a lot. Put in the work. You want to go to Georgia Tech, put in the work. You want to get the best job, put in the work. You want to go back to Godhead, put in the work. So there's a lot to be done. Yeah. So you can't, people may chant and okay, but what did they achieve, Eventually, but not trying to stay around for too long in this material world. Not a place. Okay, is there anything from the Matajis? Yes. Sorry, I think I'm going a little over, but... We can go? Yeah.
So like, in reference to like our anarthas and stuff, so like right now, like at least amongst us, we're pretty fortunate because we have, those who are in authoritative positions to point out our anarthas while we're here. But like we're leaving for so long, we won't have like that authoritative, I guess like person around who could actually, correct us and point out our issues when needed. So like, and it's kind of difficult sometimes because we may not feel comfortable letting each other know issues amongst each other, ourselves, or whatever. But like, how do we move forward in that regard when it comes to that kind of thing, our anarthas and stuff?
Yeah, it can be a difficult position when... I've seen, we see that a lot in Krishna consciousness. You're going to a good place. You're going to Salem, so it's pretty good. You get purified there. You don't need to worry about not getting purified over there. So, then there are circumstances in our life. We just got to go on with the process of what we've been taught by all that time we've spent in devotional service. For example, I think most of us here, I've been here since when we moved from New York, and most of you came within the first year or so. So after years of devotional service, we should see that we caught onto some idea of how purification works a little bit. I hope we do. That we understand how to kind of go through different process of purification. We understand, okay, these are probably the stages. It's like really difficult, then we start to understand it a little bit, then we overcome those difficulties, and there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel there, and there's some hope. And generally that's how I've seen it in my life. I don't know, maybe some of the other devotees who have been around for a little bit of time. Generally, you realize that you have a problem, and then you got to go through the trials and tribulations, and again you fail, and then there's some hope. Lord gives you intelligence, and you're able to persevere through that difficulty. So you've been practicing for so long, or been around for a little bit, so there's some experience in that, and you have to continue reading Prabhupada's books and take guidance from that. And try to maintain a humble position in our life. And you're going to India, you're going to Salem, so you're in good hands with their Gokul Chandra Prabhu being the leader there. And then that Mataji, I think, Prabhu's sister is taking care of you over there, right? What's Chittahari Prabhu, his sister. So you have good association. So Krishna is all arranging that. So we depend. We can't have everything all the time, so we still depend on the Lord. Even in circumstances when sometimes we have Mukundadatta Prabhu, a serious devotee his whole life, he got thrown into a situation of, he's doing his translations and studying Sanskrit, and then all of a sudden he's got to go take care of his mother, and he's alone with no other devotees around him for years. Then you really got to take shelter of the Lord, or you have to really take shelter of Prabhupada's books. That's why I'm saying that. Learn to capture the principles that Srila Prabhupada is speaking about in his books and understand them and try to apply them in our lives, because by doing that we're able to associate with Srila Prabhupada, as he has said, that I put the best of me in my books. We were able to directly associate with Guru Maharaj by hearing. It doesn't have to exactly be that somebody has to point out your anartha in order for you to take it out. It can be that you just perform pure devotional service and it will naturally just go away also. It just as the sun, when it comes up, Guru Maharaj was saying that in that lecture, or Prabhupada was saying that. Guru Maharaj was saying that you can hire the Navy, you can hire the doctors, you can hire all of these firemen, all of these, but who's going to take the fog out? If there's fog, you can hire all of these people and bring them in, but can they do anything? No. The sun has to come up. So when we're attentive to Guru's instructions, when we're attentive to Srila Prabhupada's books, it doesn't have to be that we have to go through all this, difficult. If you just learn first-class intelligence, just accept what Prabhupada says and go on with it, finish, that's all. Surrender. It's difficult for us to do, but we have to come to that platform. We have to, otherwise, there's an ocean of anarthas, and it might take a good amount of time if it's that every time we have to go through some craziness in order to purify our character. It should be that we learn, I had to go through that. It was already in Prabhupada's books. I didn't have to go through that. I was so stupid for me to have to go through so much difficulty. If I had just accepted what this piece of purport here said, I would have avoided all this difficulty. So you should learn from that and go, if I have a problem, approach the philosophy and the books and just accept the philosophy, apply it, and I can overcome any problem I have in my life. It's really that simple. It really is that simple. But we want to keep it complicated. As if you hear the lecture, Guru Maharaj chastising this devotee, he says you have to just go on with the process. He says, how do we become humble? Just go on with the process. I said, but Maharaj, you don't trust it, do you? You want me to tell you some crazy, wild, inner heart instruction, go to Vrindavan and become a Babaji and eat once a day and don't go anywhere, just beg, only eat what somebody gives you. Can you do that? I said, no. I said, that's what I thought. Just read and chant. What's the problem? Just accept what Srila Prabhupada says. Why is it so difficult? You want something crazy. So the process is got a lot of variety to it. But we should learn to become, self-sustainable also. There's guidelines, and the spiritual master is guiding us, but that Prabhupada says that is that in the beginning, the child is given so much care and love and guidance, but should be able to walk on its own at some point. At some point you learn. So we should learn, not that we're always dependent, of course, we always feel helpless, but at the same time, we should learn how to purify ourselves. So that you should see that we should take up to that process, not that we're always, help me, and say, okay, I better help myself to get up and help myself now. At one point also, you will get to a stage where people can't point out your anarthas. Now that's a funny position to be in. You'll get to a point in devotional service where you're senior and nobody can say anything. Now what are you going to do? Your anarthas, you're just going to let them nicely harbor in there? No, it's expected that when you get to that position that you know how to purify yourself. That's what it means to be a senior. That's what it means to be an advanced devotee. You just know the purification. You're just dedicated to hearing, chanting, no other thing. Otherwise, what will you do? Just perpetuate your anarthas to everyone else. So this is the process. It's expected for us to come up. Shouldn't always expect us to come up to become senior. It means to be able to guide others and at the same time go on purifying ourselves. Okay, is there anything else? I think I better end right 25. Okay. Yeah? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagavata Vishwakripa Vishnu